in society and in humanity, we want the easier option, the quick rich schemes, we want the quick weight loss release. We don't actually want to do the work. Okay, this is not the answer I wanted. This is the answer you needed. In the coaching industry and personal development, I'll talk about transformation can happen overnight. The quick fixes may feel like or seem like or look like they work for certain people. Most of the time, if not all the time, it's not. Awareness, acknowledgement, acceptance, take action. Change doesn't happen overnight. It can if you... Welcome to Life by 8, your blueprint for designing your ultimate life. I'm Rebecca Grugan, your architect on this journey to building a life fully lived. Using our 8 Pillars to Human Wellness framework, we'll explore how to transform your everyday from ordinary to extraordinary. So let's go. People want to change, but they don't like change. Are you one of them? We talk about behavior change and the subconscious mind and the things that we can do to change our behaviors. The thing is, are you actually willing to do the work that's required to make those changes long term? So in society and in humanity, we want the easier option. We go into the quick rich schemes. We want the quick weight loss release. We don't actually want to do the work. The thing is, right, is you actually have to do the work, and the work never ends. I know you probably cut me off right this. You're like, okay, this is not the answer I wanted. This is the answer you needed. It's not about what you want, it's about what you actually need. And this is the thing. I want to help more people understand or make sense of the fact that change doesn't happen overnight. It can if you embody the actual shift. If you move yourself from becoming aware of something and actually to full acceptance and then take action. But so many of you are becoming aware and trying to take action straight away and wondering why it doesn't work long term. Your nervous system, your capacity to hold whatever it is that you're wanting to change will not happen if you are dysregulated and if you do not have the capacity to hold the change. I want to speak into this more. I want to speak into the process it goes or that's required for you to make these changes long term. And so the reason why I love NLP and I'm becoming a train for trainer and we provide that training at Life by 8 is because I want more people to make sense of how your language creates your reality. And so if you are saying, I want to lose weight, but I don't want to go on a diet, you're hearing, I want to lose weight, I have to go on a diet. The thing is that may last for the 8-week challenge that you're on or whatever you're doing, and then you go back to your normal behavior that hasn't served you in the past. And then you put on the weight again and you're like, oh, that didn't work. Well, it didn't work because you stopped doing the work. You have to actually change the behavior. You have to break and change the pattern. And that requires you to, when something becomes or comes into your awareness, that you actually acknowledge it and accept it before taking that action. And so in my framework, I talk about the A4, which is exactly that. You go through awareness, you go through acknowledgement to acceptance to then take action. And an example I want to use for this is recently I met up with my stepfather. And if you've listened to previous episodes, I've spoken about the sexual abuse that I went through as a child. And he was the one who did that. And what was really great about the catch up was I was able to see the difference between 15 years ago and that catch up. He was more regulated. And he says that that's because of age. And maybe it is, right? But his nervous system was actually able to handle the conversations that I wanted to have and that we did have. And it was fucking phenomenal, and it was beautiful, and it was healing for both parties. To be able to sit there with my stepfather or with my abuser was not something that I had to really prepare for. I had been doing the work for so many years, for so long, that my nervous system sometimes still gets dysregulated, and I'm aware of that, and I know what I need to do in daily practices, and I know that if I stop doing them, it's going to get to a point where my behavior shifts back to what it used to be. And so this is where the awareness piece of the work never ends comes into play. But to be able to see him and the difference between the conversations I had 15 years ago wanting to get answers to this one was so incredibly obvious. His ability to not get on the defense, the ability that he was able to acknowledge what he'd done and why he did it. 15 years ago, all I could get was, I don't know why. That was it. That was all that I could get. But to see him naturally take himself through the conversation, not me having to guide it in regards to I'm aware the impact it's had on others. I acknowledge the fact that I actually made really bad choices and I may not know why I made the choices, but I take responsibility for them. That's acceptance, right? And then he was able to take action. And part of that action was being willing to sit with me to talk about whatever came up and to not get on the defense and to not reject it. That is the power of the A4. That is the power of true embodiment, of your ability to actually become aware of something that you don't like about yourself and take these steps to change long term. An example might be somebody who wants to release weight or lose weight. They go and they do an 8-week challenge and they smash it. They do all the steps they're told to and it's great. And then they don't have that accountability or the person to externalize that responsibility onto anymore. And their habits creep back in where you're having the sugar in your tea and you're having the lollies, just you're not aware. You're going back to old behaviors where you're not aware of what you're consuming and the weight starts to come back on. And many people won't take the responsibility for that. They'll blame the fact that, oh, it didn't work for me. The thing is, oh, it did. You released weight, you changed your body, because if you're putting something back on, it means that you had to have lost it in the first place. But this is where awareness to acknowledgement is extremely important, because just because it's in your awareness, if you try to jump straight to action, it will be a short-term gain if you get a gain, but it won't be a full, true transformation. And this is where in the coaching industry and in other spaces in personal development where they'll talk about transformation can happen overnight. The thing is that it may feel like you've transformed because you've become aware of something and then you've taken action, whether that's timeline therapy, whatever work you're doing, and then you feel different. But then all of a sudden, 48 hours, it's back. You can either say, oh, that didn't work for me, or you could actually take responsibility of the fact that you didn't want to go through true acknowledgement to truly accept that either that happened for you or that your behavior has created that. You have to go through acknowledgement and acceptance for full transformation that changes your life forever. The quick fixes may feel like or seem like or look like they work for certain people. Most of the time, if not all the time, it's not. So allowing yourself to go through this full process is where change actually comes from. It's why it matters. People talk about embodiment. People talk about actually being the thing that you say you're going to be. That's where you've become aware of the behavior that, and somebody might have brought that into your awareness. Somebody might have gone, the way you spoke to me, I feel this way. And you're like, oh, fuck, I didn't know I was rude, or I didn't know I was cutting them off, or whatever it was. It's now in your awareness. This is the point where you get to choose, because it's always a choice. And thank you for choosing to listen to my podcast. But you're here and you're aware of it. Then you either get to reject it. This is where discernment is important, because you either get to reject it and be like, that's okay, that's their responsibility, how they feel, or you can go, oh, I can see how I did that. So then you can acknowledge it, accept that it hasn't been serving you and it's not serving others, and then take the action to make that change. And so why do I talk about the A4 rather than reprogramming? Because there's a negative connotation to programming. If we live in some big digital world where we're just part of a program, why would you want to reprogram yourself? The word itself stops a lot of people from actually doing the work. Whereas the A4 sounds like a blank piece of paper where you get to actually design your life from. And so I use the A4 rather than the word reprogramming, because so many people don't want to be programmed in the first place. And so it allows for more people to be open to this embodiment rather than be stuck at the word reprogramming. It's also why a lot of people get stuck with the words NLP or neuro-linguistic programming, because they think what they're doing is being programmed by somebody, and in some facts it is being used for manipulation. But whether you're aware of it or not, or whether the person is NLP trained or not, all it is showing you is that the language you use creates your reality, and the language people use to sell to you, you're choosing yes or no. It doesn't have to be negative, but reprogramming or programming in itself is something that people are rejecting at the moment. And so I use the A4 principles, the A4 process, because it allows for people to be able to see it in a different way without the negative connotation. Because again, language creates our reality. So if we think about the word programming negatively, we all of a sudden and automatically have a block to whatever it is that we're wanting or listening to get ourselves towards that change. Hey, stop for a second. I know you're in the middle of building your life. If you want help with that, I can help you. Whether you join our Architect program where it's working with me one-on-one, or our Build group container, which absolutely has incredible value and will help you design and build that life faster. You can also join us to understand and design your energetic blueprint before there's a 1-day, 2-day event. You can join us there too. There is multiple different ways you can work with us at different investment points. We would love to have you there to help you get, design, and build the life that you want faster. You can see the links below. Feel free to reach out in any DM, in any social media platform. I would love to hear from you. Now, get back to building that life. And so I want to dive into the specifics more about the A4. So if we start with awareness, how you can become aware of the situation or the emotion or the issue at hand, it requires careful observation and the understanding of the context and the people involved. And this is why how something comes into your awareness is going to be different for everybody. And usually someone will bring it to your attention. And early ages, this can start in school from a teacher who's telling you you're too loud or you're not smart enough or that you're too clever, whatever it is, it's coming into your awareness. Or a parent telling you that you need to be quiet or, you're the eldest, so it should be this way. Whatever it is, something's coming into your awareness. And it's here at this point, especially if it's happened in your early years, is that you'll then take it on negatively. So it's been brought into your awareness. You've lacked discernment, because if we think about the world or the society we were brought up in, we didn't make many decisions at school. It's like we turned 18, moved out of home, and then had to start making decisions. And we wonder why so many of our young people are fucked up. It's because they never actually got to have discernment. They never got to make decisions, which is another reason why I am so passionate about Montessori, because the younger we can give people the opportunity to make decisions, the better their discernment. So then when things come into their awareness, they can decide whether they want to reject that, ignore it, or take it on board. Because not everything that comes into your awareness has to be changed. Just because somebody tells you something doesn't mean that you have to go through the process to change that. It is only if you decide that you want to bring that in to your life. The great thing about the A4 process is that it can be for anything that's positive or negative. So people who see themselves as I'm not good enough or I'm not lovable, and they continually get told that they're bubbly or that they're so lovely to be around, you can keep rejecting that. Or you can utilize the A4 process to actually embody that and accept that about yourself. Because that can be beautiful, because everything is energy and you're just choosing to see it through a negative filter rather than a positive filter. So what I love again about the A4 is that this can be for anything that comes into your awareness. And so when we're looking at life design, when we have our regulated nervous system and we have our communication skills as our foundation, we can use the A4 process to allow ourselves to make the decisions, to use discernment in any pillar of life. Acknowledgement, this is the part where things can get hard. So after you become aware, this step is about recognizing and acknowledging the situation or feelings. It involves validating the emotions and perspectives of others, or even yourself. Remember, the fact is that the more perspectives you can hold, the greater your life will be, the more capacity you have to hold more. The power or the energy-rich state comes from the amount of perspectives you can hold. And so the acknowledgement is extremely important. That validation of what other people are saying to you allows yourself to deepen those relationships with them rather than rejecting things straight off the bat. But it's also the perspectives you have of yourself and validating those. Because you get to choose to fully embrace what you are wanting to change, what you are now aware of, what you are wanting to accept. Acknowledgement is the step towards full embodiment. It is important to validate, feel, and see whatever it is that we are wanting to accept or change. You have to want to see it. You have to see it. This, where discernment comes into play, is about questioning the assumptions you've made, the past stories you've created or being told by others. This is super hard because it could mean that if we accept this, we lose people, we lose things, or we get rejected by people around us. And we are herd animals. We want to be accepted. We want to belong. But sometimes we're at the wrong table. And so when something comes into our awareness and we are going to acknowledge it and accept it, we have to also accept the fact that we may lose something that we have. But that's required for us to get the things that we want. And so it is why so many people avoid going through acknowledgement, which is why people just want to go from awareness to action. True embodiment requires you to go through this hard. When you go through that, you get to full acceptance, and accepting the reality of the situation without that judgment, it's fucking empowering. It's about embracing the facts and the emotions as they are, and the ability to have compassion for yourself in that acceptance. Because you might become aware of something, you might acknowledge it, and then you judge yourself harshly on it. If you are judging yourself, you are unable to accept it. That compassion for self is so important towards self-love, towards worthiness, towards realizing that you are great, that you are always good enough. But that acceptance requires that compassion. And so many of us don't have that for us, because many of us weren't shown what compassion looks like. Once you have that, once you've gone from awareness to acknowledgement to acceptance, then the final step is action. And you can take appropriate and constructive action based off of the process you've already gone through. Change is now possible because you have accepted the thing that you want to change or embody. If you do not fully accept it, the change will not stay long term because parts of you are still rejecting it. So it involves implementing solutions or making changes or providing support. When you are creating and when you're taking the action from a full acceptance, it is so much easier. You can set bold goals, goals that you, before the change, didn't think were possible for you because parts of you were still thinking that you weren't good enough or rejecting whatever it was that we're talking about. So those goals that you set when it comes to taking action feel more purposeful, feel more possible. It helps you cultivate the courage and the resilience to go through it because you've gone through something hard, i.e., the discomfort of actually acknowledging and accepting something. So when you take the action, because you are able to embrace that discomfort, you start to take risks outside of your comfort zone, and you know that it's in that discomfort where the growth is. And so all of a sudden, your life's changed and you've fully transformed. And it's 1 week, 6 months, 2 years down the track, and it's still changed. And that's because you've fully embodied it. You've fully allowed yourself to regulate your nervous system. You've fully allowed yourself to go through the full process of embodiment. And it's almost like life feels easier. Because the thing is that life gets to be this easy. But the easy only comes with your increased capacity to handle the hard. So the people that you may look up to, the people that you may put on pedestals of like, oh, their life is so easy, it's because they're willing and have gone through discomfort and increased their capacity to handle the things that might be hard. And so what you deem hard is no longer hard for them because they continually go through the practice of the A4 to actually exercise and change and continually embrace that discomfort, that what you think is hard is easy for them. It doesn't mean that they don't continually go through hard. It's just that nervous system, the capacity of their nervous system has increased to be able to handle more than you can right now. And so to summarize, awareness. Whatever it is that comes into your awareness, so this is a process that you can use for any decision you need to make, for any behavior change you want to go through, whatever it is in your life. Something comes into your awareness. You truly acknowledge it. You truly, fully accept it with compassion for yourself. All of that is required before taking the action. And when you go through that process, it leads to long-term change and real transformation. And so many of us are on the personal development journey because we want transformation. We want change. But if you really want that transformation, you actually have to be willing to do the fucking work. Start with your nervous system. Start with your communication, your ability to hold boundaries for yourself and for others, and then use the A4 process to reprogram your subconscious mind, for you to actually make change, for you to integrate your unconscious and conscious mind so that your whole being is working as one, that you feel whole, that you don't feel like you're in parts anymore. The A4 process is incredibly powerful to ensure that the transformation that you want is what you get. And I know that what you wanted easy, but easy is on the other side of hard. So let me know what you think about the A4 process. Let me know if you implement it into any parts of your life and how it went for you. It works for so many of my clients. It works for so many of our group containers. It works for the children that we work with. It is simple and easy to understand, but it's hard to do. The thing is, though, is you get to choose hard. You get to choose hard now or hard later. It's up to you. You're the one who told me you wanted the full transformation. So do the fucking work. And if you want help doing the work, that is what I'm here for. Thank you for joining me living life by 8. If this episode hit home, brought value to you in any way, I would love your support with a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And don't forget to subscribe on your favorite platform too. And don't let your journey end here. Connect with me and my community at Rebecca Grugan on all social platforms. I look forward to going deeper with you on your journey.